Us females outside on the ground.
It's not even 10:30 in the morning in Huntington, West Virginia, and it's happened again. Another overdose, this time just outside a fast food restaurant. The woman is unconscious and turning blue on the sidewalk. First responders move in with an anti-overdose medication naloxone. A few minutes pass. She revives, as if waking from a nap. The needles she used go in a sharps container. The woman goes in an ambulance. It's become a well-choreographed dance.
So, this is crazy about the whole fentanyl thing. They kept saying heroin problem, heroin problem, heroin problem. And it does look like it's on the East Coast on that I-95, a road I'm not familiar with because I live on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. But we're not safe in Indiana, as you know. There's been a lot of problems in Indiana with the fentanyl, but they keep saying heroin, 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 but it's the fentanyl. And then Trump was out there, he signed a thing about making, what was it? He signed something about the opioid epidemic. So I thought that fentanyl was, okay, so the opium plant grows, and morphine that's extracted from it like 10% of the plant is the juice, and then it dries up, and it's the morphine, and then to make it heroin, they just add an extra molecule on it, and it's easy, but you need that raw product. And I thought fentanyl was related to those, but it's not. If you look, I mean, I was like, if you look at it, it's different. It's different than the morphine right here and the heroin, which we got. Did we get, I wanted to get, where's the, okay. Well, let's.
In the city on the banks of the Ohio River, at the heart of America's opioid epidemic.
I bet you I've been to 20 overdoses in that house.
Jan Rader is the fire chief in the city, a place now defined by both the scope of its struggle and its attempt to fight back.
We have no fear of failure. If we try something and it doesn't work, let's move on to something else.
Of the 100,000 people who live in Huntington and surrounding Cabell County, officials estimate that 10,000 of them have become addicted to opioids like heroin and pain pills. Officials say there have been more than 100 deaths in Cabell County so far in 2017, with more than 2,000 overdoses expected by year's end. Steve Williams is the mayor of Huntington.
The level of addiction.
So not only is it easier to make, and it's so much stronger, the fentanyl is not even related to the plant. I thought it had that complex structure that morphine and heroin have, but the fentanyl, as you can see, is not even related to that, and a lot of it's coming in from China, and they can't really stop it. So it's coming in from on the East Coast, and it's penetrating this whole area, definitely the East Coast, up and down the I-95, which is not the road that I'm, it's not a road that I'm familiar with because I live in Indiana, but it's still making its way over here. But this is definitely gonna be really, really bad because it's easy to make and it's so much more powerful. They don't have to sit there and wait for the crops to grow, and it's crazy. in that molecule, the fentanyl, it doesn't even look that hard to make if you have a little chemistry knowledge. It doesn't really even look that difficult to make. It just has the nitrogen. They probably just start with the nitrogen ring, and then add on to it that like pepperdine thing on one end, and then do the reactions to add. I don't know the technical. And then you just add two more groups on to this, like a aldehyde or something, and then another ring structure. I mean, it's not as complicated as the plant. See, the Mother Nature makes the plants that are more complicated, and it's hard to replicate them, just like the THC analogs. So that's crazy. So it's easy to make, and it's hard to detect. And they talk about micrograms of it. So that's it's crazy.
Is beyond anyone's comprehension. I have never known anything that was so all-consuming. It is affecting everybody in this community.
That means slowed down traffic at businesses like Rollerama, open since 1962.
It's just running the neighborhoods down, running the business off, running the people who would spend money here, who are trying to do good here, running them all off.
Trouble at the regional pharmacy chain, in the parking lots, and inside the stores.
It's difficult to hire employees. It's difficult to find people who can pass the drug screens.
Needles scattered in the parks.
We've found them in the past. We've found them in the playgrounds, different things. Bathrooms, edges of parking lots, boat ramp. I mean, the flood water brings a bunch of them in down there, believe it or not.
Needles clogging stormwater catch basins and threatening sanitation workers.
They may actually have to physically reach down, pull debris out. We use a needle-proof, cut-proof gloves to protect our employees from being stuck.
She's an IV drug user. And bacterial infections tied.
So the word epidemic is very specific. The word epidemic means like the plague or smallpox. So when they start talking about an epidemic, of the heroin and the fentanyl, so they're even saying that people who, like, if somebody overdoses on heroin and it's cut with the fentanyl, that the people want that because they want to get that dope because it's so much stronger. So they would want to buy. They know it's good because somebody overdosed on it. That's crazy. That is so crazy. I didn't know. I thought it was like a more complicated. I thought it was just like more adding on to the heroin. I thought, so they got to grow the opium, then they got to make it into heroin, then they got to add extra chemical stuff on it to make it fentanyl. And then I didn't realize it was just a nitrogen ring and then adding a couple groups on it. That's crazy. And then China has all the smarts, chemistry, and no laws regarding the safety and import and export of chemicals. And those are all, there's nothing very unique about that, the structure of it. That's crazy. So that I just can't believe how it's really taken over. It is an epidemic. It is an epidemic. And you can get natural you can get your natural endorphins from right here. Those are the natural endorphins. So it's like, and then here's the occur in food. So your brain makes it. It occurs in food, very low doses of it. So you're competing with your brain's own. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Tied to IV drug use, now common throughout the city.
Some of them go to the bones, some of them go to the kidneys, some of them go to the brain. Things that you didn't expect to see very often because they were described as rare in your medical textbook, and now you see them all the time.
The health consequences are deeper still. At Cabell Huntington Hospital, 1 out of every 5 babies delivered has been exposed. Dim for the babies.
Never seen before. Olivia.
So it's starting with the young people.
Emerged in the mid-90s.
Then all the pain pills.
Shipped to West Virginia. Pills caused many to switch to heroin and fentanyl, far more potent cousins of drugs like hydrocodone and oxycodone. Overdose deaths spiked. In March, a state fund to pay for burials for the poor ran out of money 5 months before the end of the fiscal year.
The drug dealers are going to pay for this, just the way that I see that the pharmaceutical companies are going to pay.
In Huntington and Cabell County, officials have resolved to respond to every overdose case.
It's so messed up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
When appropriate, through drug courts,
So,
that have a strong track
I mean,
record
what
of
happened to
toward
just
recovery
having
instead of incarceration.
some beers and cigarettes and weed? I know it's more complicated than that, but that's to mess with your brain wiring like that. That's really crazy, and how easy that is to make. How they're just importing it, sneaking it in. It's hard to detect. It doesn't have all the smells and stuff that the natural products have. That's crazy. I hope people just, eat cheese and have beer and sex and exercise and just, I mean, it's just crazy.
How dispiriting is that? You just literally brought someone back to life and they're choosing, or maybe it's not a choice, but
it's very frustrating on every level. But that doesn't stop.
One guy on there said that heroin doesn't even get him high. Like, he's like, fentanyl is a different kind of high. It's a more stronger high. Obviously, it's more stronger high. But he was describing it like the heroin doesn't even work. Can you imagine somebody saying heroin doesn't even work to get you high? That's crazy. That is insane. Heroin doesn't get you high. That is, oh my God.
This year, they're on track for more than 5,500. 1 out of every 4 times a fire truck leaves the station, it's for an overdose case. It messes with your mind. I mean, I'm not
all those,
one of those calls last year,
they're supposed to be protecting, they're supposed to be fighting fires and solving, not solving accidents. They're supposed to be firefighters and responding to medical emergencies, which it is a medical emergency. I definitely think they should respond to every call. Obviously, every 911 call definitely needs to be responded to. Definitely, but it's it's a drag on the system that's already messed up. It's a drag on the system that's already messed up with the healthcare. This is not gonna be. This is so bad. This is. Do you think this is worse than the crack epidemic? In the 80s, there was the crack epidemic, and then in the 90s, there was the speed. It was all about the speed and the meth. Obviously, none of those things drugs have went away. But do you think this is worse than that?
Drug-related crimes are high, he said. So are the number of